Rex cries after he ejaculates.
Compared to a Martha Stewart and Stepford wife on steroids, Bree is so much deeper and complex of a character than she appears to be, honestly. Even after 180 episodes into the show, even to the very last episode, it added layers and meaning, giving us flashbacks to even when her mother was alive, which I would have lived for more backstory on Bree and her relationship with her mother. Bree's always armed with a basket of muffins, and she has a Jimmy Neutron mom hair bump, and I believe that this character is honesty of actual perfection. Even when she falls from grace, she wore her fall from grace with the air of beauty that only Marcia Cross could bring to that role. I'm really excited to talk about the history of Bree Van De Kamp on Desperate Housewives Season 1 only. I'm currently working on staying focused and on track when creating content, so this video will merely serve as the history of the girls, in this one, Bree, in their first season. There's 23 episodes, so there's a lot to go over. My goal is to not give away all the goods if you've ever watched this amazing show on Hulu yet. And if you have watched the show, I hope to spark your interest back into it and go watch it and support it. Because honestly, I would love a 2023 version of Desperate Housewives. Honestly, I would be very interested to see in the realm of social politics where all the girls would fall, and just a lot of conversations about race, honestly, that are missing from the entire series, because personally that wasn't the thing to talk about in early 2000s. So now that there's more of a spotlight and there's more social pressure to address these issues, I really would love to see where the girls would fall when it comes to racial issues, especially because I am a believer that, like, personally, I think the most effective way to have racial conversations is within your own race, to be honest with you. Listen, I ain't trying to talk to a whole bunch of white folks out there, okay? I'm trying to talk to my folks, okay? That's just, personally, that's just how I feel about it. So for me, I think more shows that feature prominently white characters that talks and addresses racial issues are effective and are more helpful than to have the entire conversation of race pigeonholed to black people. Like, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But moving along, let's get into Season 1, Bree Van De Kamp and the history. So when we start off the entire series, we see all the families attending Mary Alice Young's wake. I went into a little bit of history of Desperate Housewives in my last video. So watch that if you want to. I don't remember what exactly I talked in it about. So it's very obvious that there is a difference in the way the family views Bree and the outside world views Bree. Her family, they feel very cold with her, and they resent her a lot because the mom, she has such a huge care about appearances. There's a lot of talk, especially in the first season with Bree, about what will people in the country club think about us? What would these people think? What the neighbors? What will the priest, the church? There's just so many storylines about appearances. So, make it even worse, I think within the first 2 episodes, her husband, Rex, he asks her for a divorce. In the family, Bree Van De Kamp has 2 sons, or has 1 son. Rex has a son that we find out later on in the show. But Bree has 1 son and 1 daughter. You know, the Stepford wife type of family. But we find out that Andrew's gay and Danielle is fucking. Basically, to sum it all up, honestly. And just the way Bree Van De Kamp delivers lines with her wit. And then Danielle and Andrew just falling right along. Like, the entire Van De Kamp family is a family full of wit and grit. That's probably the best way to summarize them, and probably some good Southern grits, because Bree Van De Kamp can cook, y'all. I have never watched their show so much and just wanted a character to be real so I could have their food. Or even just some of her muffins. So at a dinner, Bree accidentally poisoned Rex by putting onions in his meal, which I thought was funny. Because I actually lied to my ex-husband and told him I was allergic to onions, because when we were dating, he liked to force me to eat things I didn't like. So the only way for me to make sure that he didn't shove onions in my throat as a prank was to tell him I was allergic to onions. But Rex's character is actually allergic to onions, and so this comes back around later on when Bree is accused of killing him, which he didn't. But he goes to the hospital because he has a reaction from the onions. And when she's in the hospital, Rex basically accuses her of being very emotionally unavailable and just obsessed with wanting to be perfect. She gets really upset by this, and in the pilot episode, she goes, like, when she's talking to him, she just like, okay, But then when she gets to the bathroom, she cries and, like, break down like no other. Like, her face was the color of her hair, like, just as red. And it was a very captivating moment to even just see her like that in solitude, just by herself, like, to take that statement in. But then her actually following through on what her character is called to be as cold, and, like, then crying by herself. I don't know. It was just really just... It'll make me go into a whole nother spiral of thoughts, so I'm not going to analyze right now. I'm just going to talk about the history. This is a little hard for me to do, but I'm going to stay on track. So, after she's in the bathroom crying, which, by the way, my third watch of the show. Second watch of the show. Third watch, I guess, if you count a few months ago. I love Desperate Housewives, I have to be honest with you. It's a show I could, like, literally just, like, put on at any time and just totally fall back into. So, after that scene when she's crying by herself in the bathroom, she helps her friends pack up Mary Alice's, the narrator of the entire show, who's narrating from the afterlife. They pack up all of her stuff. And this is where they find the blackmail note that Mary Alice has. And I'll go into more in depth of that when I do a video just on Mary Alice and the history of her, and which will be the last one, since a lot of her content gives away a lot of the plot for the entire show. So, which same with Susan Meyer. But anyway, so they decide to go to marriage counseling, and this is when they are with the character Albert Goldfine. I think he's really only in the first season. And in the very first session, Rex is just, like, going in on Bree and everything. But Bree just keeps trying to sideline the conversation and just talk about anything other than their actual issues with their marriage. Because I don't think she even knows what the issue in their marriage is. And this is where we get some of the funniest context when she is talking about, we get this later on with her and the therapist. And she's like, actually, I love sex. She's like, the scrotum? The scrotum is the unpleasant part, not my favorite part to look at, but I love sex. I love the friction of it. She's like, so me liking sex is not an issue. I don't know what's wrong with Rex. Please tell me what's wrong with Rex. Rex's secret is he is into S&M. And he is too nervous to tell Bree that. It is known that Bree waited for marriage before being with Rex. I'm not sure if it's ever stated if Rex waited. Not sure. You know, the same context is not applied to our guys in the patriarchal society, so who knows. But Bree, on the other hand, was a virgin before she was married. And in their first session, she's even, like, staring at the therapist, and the only thing she could think about is wanting to sew his button on his suit. Like, the whole entire scene is just, like, she's just, like, focused on that button, and everything else is just, like, they're in a fishbowl. And Bree basically just says that, like, the issues in the marriage aren't entirely her fault, and that Rex should be more grateful for everything that Bree does. And facts, okay? Like, the woman literally, like, I wouldn't be surprised if she said that her basket that she put the muffins in was hand woven, okay? I would not be shocked, okay? Like, the woman literally did everything. But of course it is a way for her to distract herself from herself and from everything else around her, and the fact that she's not happy. But she lives to make everyone else happy, which is why it's so obvious and evident that she's just like, well, Rex, what is your problem? She's like Bree's like, literally like, listen, I am a lady in the street and I'm a freak in the sheets, which whatever you need me to be, but it's the fact that he doesn't want to tell her that what he really is into is S&M, and he wants her to like be, and like even when he finally owns up to it, she doesn't. She follows through, and she doesn't hesitate to roast him sometimes about it now, but she follows through even if it's not her thing. So I see what she meant when she was like, Rex needs to be more grateful for me, because when that's her goal, if the main way she operates is to make everyone around her happy, and then especially her own family, then she's saying, I consistently put everyone's needs before my own. So I don't know what else you want from me. You let me know. And at this point, he still didn't want to let her know. So then she throws a dinner party after that scene, and of course she doesn't want everybody to know that she's in therapy. But Rex, he doesn't hesitate to tell everyone. And I can tell that Rex is mainly doing this because he knows that for her, keeping the privacy and what happens in the house stays in the house. He knows that is a value of hers. And me having a mother that's like that, I know what you're doing when you're antagonizing somebody a little bit. When you're kind of like, well, this is going on in my house. So I feel like he was antagonizing her at this dinner party. And that's where the scene that I started the video with, Rex cries after he ejaculates, come from. So Rex moves out, and he moves into a hotel. And then this is where the storyline is so tight. I love it. Because in the office of Dr. Goldfine, she finds a tape that says Young Mary Alice, and this will eventually give more clues as to what is going on in her friend's life, because her friend also saw the same shrink that she's seeing. Like I said, I love the way this Desperate Housewives is a show where there's payoff in almost every scene you watch, even to the point where there was a whole scene about them seeing another doctor, and then the doctor ended up being her son's new boyfriend, and it just brought it all, there's no meaningless characters, there's no meaningless plots, there's no meaningless storylines. Everything has a purpose and a rhyme and a reason, and it's normally going to be a funny one, honestly. And you're going to probably get surprised while watching the show. So now Rex, her husband, is living out of a motel, and Bree doesn't want to tell Andrew and Danielle where their dad is, whatever. And so she keeps just trying to say different stuff. She's like, well, maybe he went to tennis camp, doing the step wife thing, even trying to lie to them people in your house who obviously can see that their dad's not there, and he's on a fucking tennis trip. So Bree leaves without telling her, or Andrew leaves without telling Bree. Bree searches through his room, finds an address for a strip club. Then she goes to the strip club, and it was so funny because she shows him a strip club with a stepper wife room, and she's all out. She's like, "What's her name? Did you even think about what maybe her mother went through? That who she is, what she could have been in love with?" And then everyone else around is just like, "Yo, your mom is ruining this for us. You can go too." And I also think it's funny because Andrew's obviously just there to be there. Actually, it's probably where Andrew realized, oh, I don't like girls. You guys go here for this. Ugh. The same way I would feel in a male... I actually was in the presence of a male stripper once, and let me tell you, I already knew I was gay, but I was married at the time, so I didn't realize how gay I was. There's no friction for that mindset with the male stripper. So, pretty sure that's how Andrew was feeling. Me and Andrew could have switched places, okay, and probably had a better time. Actually, I just don't want anyone sweating on me, to be honest with you. Unless I like it like that. So, Bree, now, she's by herself at the house. Andrew and Danielle, they're camping. And Rex is staying at the hotel. So this is where she invites Zach Young. Zach Young is a son of Brenda. Not Brenda, Brenda's her real name. Brenda Strong's her real name. Mary Alice Young, the character, the one who is narrating from the afterlife. And Zach's trying to tell his mom Zach is telling Bree that he knows why his mom killed herself. And because at this point, Zach thinks it's something that he did. Don't want to get into that storyline too much, so I'm not. But he basically tells his mom tells Bree why he thinks his mom killed herself and why he thinks that is because of him. And this is where a weird scene did happen where Zach broke into their house and he decorated with Christmas ornaments after she ended up canceling plans with him, because then Bree basically got axed out by Rex last minute when he realized the kids were at camp. So then after that whole thing, he just came in the house and just decorated with the Christmas ornaments. That was one thing that never really came back around. I guess it was just to show how disturbed Zach actually was and how much help he needed. And that makes sense. So then after that, Goldfine basically suggests to Bree and Rex, the counselor, that maybe they get a sex surrogate, which I've never heard about. Bree says, hell to the nah-na-na, nah to the nah-na-na. I think Bree hair went straight when he said that shit. Find a sex surrogate. Bree said, oh, I think not. Bree said, listen. Bree said, I do too much work around here for this to be delegated. Bree said, there will not be a sex surrogate. There will not be a cooking surrogate. There will not be not damn surrogate up in here. And she ended up showing up at the hotel later on looking like, ooh. I'll post a picture. So basically, Bree later on, she sees Dr. Goldfine, and he's at a restaurant. So Bree basically tries to talk to him, but he doesn't really give her details. He just lets her know that she is missing some type of information, which is Rex's dirty little secret about liking S&M. And then this is where she shows up just looking fine as hell in this beautiful lingerie. Like, oh my gosh. But then as they are trying to have sex, he has, I think it was like a burrito or a taco on the nightstand of the hotel, and it was about to fall off. And Bree was like, hold on. And she wanted to like make sure it didn't fall. And he was like, oh, now you completely ruined the mood. And I'm just like, to me, I'm like, Rex, are you okay? Because Bree looked like that. I don't care. She could have stopped and cleaned the whole entire hotel room, and I would have still been ready. So I don't know what he meant that he wasn't ready no more, but that's okay. Whatever. Anyway, moving along. So that happens. He pretty much like rejects her, which I'm just like, I think that's so effed. Like I don't know, like it's even just a risk to show up in like nothing, scantily dressed. I did not say that word. I want to say scantily clad, but words are easier in my head to say sometimes than out loud. One of my friends pointed out one time, she's like, you read a lot. That makes a lot of sense. That's why sometimes when you pronounce the words out loud, they don't always come through for you like that, girl. I'm like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. But I'm actually trying to get through this. So I thought that I'd go down, like scroll down to my notes. I'm like, oh, you get a whole other page of notes. Okay. So after that scene, we basically now have episodes of Andrew in the first season acting up, getting in a whole bunch of trouble. And then on top of that, then Bree and Rex announced their divorce and said that they're done with each other. Bree gets super upset because Andrew and Danielle want to move out and live with their dad. And, that makes her feel rejected, of course. He's out there buying them convertible cars and like letting Danielle do what she wants in a sense. And then Bree said that, like, if y'all accept these gifts, you won't be allowed back in my house. And then she ended up changing the locks. And Danielle was like, fine, whatever, I'll come home. But then Andrew, he's like, I guess I'll sleep in my car. So this is when Andrew drives off, and connection to Gabrielle Solis' storyline, he ends up hitting Carlos Solis' mother, Juanita. And Bree finds out, but, she's like, oh, shit. So they take a car to a bad side of town, which is, like, their, like, usual way of going to get rid of a car. Such a, like, I feel like a housewives thought. They did this twice in this show. They're like, we're going to leave this car in a bad side of town and then let the people strip it and then report it as stolen. So, yeah. So that way, I guess, like, when the car is found, they can say that it was in their possession that the whole time anyway, which I guess does make a lot of sense, and it's kind of a smart plan if you're completely sure that someone's going to take a car from you or take that car. But anyway, so someone does end up stealing the car, but then this is when you see a series of episodes where Andrew, like, doesn't feel any remorse about putting a woman in a coma, and she does eventually die, which is like a whole nother storyline. But Bree is basically trying to tell Rex that they should make Andrew quit the swim team because that's the only thing he actually cares about. And she really wants to punish him. So because of the fact that she wants to punish him, but Rex doesn't want to take him off of it because Rex doesn't want him to lose a scholarship, Bree ends up finding marijuana in his locker and then reporting it. And then he got thrown out off of the school swim team anyway. So that all happened, and while this is happening, Rex is having an affair with one of the characters, Macy Gibbons. Macy Gibbons is a dominatrix who has a black book, and this a black book has details of the men and her consorts and such. And so, basically, Rex ends up having a heart attack while she is stepping on his back. She is giving him that crickety crack crack, and his heart has a tack. Okay, that was so bad, and I am so fired. But he basically has a heart attack, and after that, Bree ends up getting called to the hospital, and then she sees on the sign-in form that Maisie's the one who signed her husband in. So she knows something's going on. So then Bree, being the woman she is, she goes to Maisie Gibbons' face. Because Maisie and Bree don't have a good relationship. Another thing to mention is that when the episode starts out where it brings in the storyline, Maisie Gibbons is talking to one of her clients, and she's telling this is how they even showed us it was Rex, which was such a good reveal. But she's basically talking, and she's like, yeah, I can't stand some of the women here. When my husband lost his job, I just got like judgmental, da 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 da. And she mentions that Bree's reaction to her was just to look at her or something like that, I guess, which really set with Maisie the wrong way. So she has it out for Bree Van De Kamp in the long run, and takes joy in sleeping with her husband, I guess, in a sense, as to get back at her, because Maisie Gibbons is only basically being like the secret cohort dominatrix because her husband lost his job. And the thing is, Maisie Gibbons said that she basically disliked Bree because of the way she reacted to her, not because she said anything. And then later on, Bree's like, I didn't say anything because I didn't want to further embarrass you. Because I guess Bree's basically saying, like, that's what I would have done for me, bitch. Like, listen, don't y'all come here and say, oh, I'm so sorry for Rex divorcing you. And just like, Bree's like, keep it pushing. Like, Bree's like, I'm doing you the service I want done for me. Don't mention the shit. Just don't mention it. Don't exist. It didn't happen. But yeah, because I do think that's important to mention that, like, Bree didn't say anything, so the character said that hurt her, that made her have it out for her. But anyway, so she's telling her cohort or whatever, her clientele, she's like, yeah, actually, and his wife, one of my clients is his wife, I can't say it right, or whatever, and she's like, and he's coming in next, and then we see Rex, and we're like, oh no, so that's who she's sleeping with Bree's husband. Ooh, and she's talking about Bree. She hates Bree. Ooh, it was a good like finding out. So looking through my notes. So then, when Bree confronts Maisie Gibbons, she says that Rex still really does love Bree, but that he has a sexual need that he's afraid to tell Bree. So then Bree goes back to the hospital, and when Rex wakes up from his operation that he had, Bree's like, I'm so glad you didn't die, because I'm going to find the most vindictive lawyer I can and take all your money and your dignity. And she said that she really wants revenge for his betrayal, and then that's when she filed for divorce officially. So at first, she refused to let him come home. She's like, I don't want you back at home at all. And this is not working out for her kids, and Andrew basically blackmailed her and was like, you're taking our dad in, like, you're not leaving him on the street, because Bree at this point, she still didn't want to tell them about what was going on. So this is where George Williams comes in, and he is a character. George Williams served as a very good foil for Bree, I believe, because Rex and Bree were obviously not a good couple together, and I feel like George ended up bringing out a lot more of Bree's quirky side. Like, just, I don't know, like, just, there's a lot of scenes that really made me love her. Like, I'm not a fan of guns, but there's this one scene where she's at a park with him and she takes out her gun and she's just like, oh, for me? And it's just like the way she is. She's like, yes, I love the NRA. And she like puts his hand like on his head. I'm like, this is what turns you on, woman. Like, I don't know. It's just so funny to me. Yeah, she like, it was like a 9mm Luger POV, and Bree's like, I'm in the NRA. I'm delighted. And then she even takes him to a small farm to teach him how to shoot a gun, which I thought was funny because like he doesn't shoot, but he had a gun to give to her. Like, I wouldn't know where to give someone a gun if they like guns at all. But anyway, and then that's when you see them about to kiss. This is the scene when you see them about to kiss, and he ends up losing a toe because Bree stepped back real surprised, and he ended up shooting himself in the foot. And she was like, bro, I'm still married, so we can't kiss. I don't want to kiss you anyway. I don't really think Bree ever really saw it for him like that, and it was so obvious in a lot of scenes that Bree was using him to try to make Rex jealous. So after those batch of scenes, Bree is in the middle of her divorce negotiations and everything, and the Rex basically wants to stop fighting and he wants them sorted out, and Bree's like, I'm gonna go ahead and continue with the divorce. She tells him that she wants revenge, and then she goes to a little diner to clear her head. She bumps, quote unquote, into George and asks for his advice, and he tells her that she should go ahead and forgive Rex. But what he's really saying was, don't forgive Rex. See, I'm not like that. I would just tell you, be with me. I don't want you to be with them. Be with me. I don't understand people do this coy shit. I guess that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to play cute. I don't play cute. Play cute, you get played games with, even though I still get played games with, so fuck it, whatever. Moving on. So Bree ends up telling Dr. Goldfine that she's happy that she and Rex are back together, but she still doesn't know what he likes in the bed. He still hasn't told her. So then Bree pushes, and then finally he tells her he's into S&M, and Bree's like, okay. Not the secret I thought that would be. I think Bree wouldn't want anything other than like that. Like, I think Bree is just like, for what? Like, I think S&M just goes like to the complete opposite reason of why Bree wants to have sex in a sense. It's just so funny. So Bree ends up finding a condom in the laundry, and she thinks that it's Rex's and that he's still cheating, and then Rex is like, hey, by the way, I'm not the only guy in the house. So then Bree is like, fuck, Andrew's having sex? And then when they're having dinner, Andrew is like, oh, that's how you put that condom on bed? And he's like, that's not mine. Pans to Danielle. And Danielle's like, I want to give my virginity to John Rowland, which, ha 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 ha, because she tells us, because like Bree's like, you and John are president of the Absence Club, and John Rowland is fucking Gabrielle Solis. That ties into her storyline, and I just thought it was so funny that the people who are in charge of the Abstinence Club, and then Danielle hits us back at the line of, I wasn't planning on being there next semester. But the funniness of, like, the people who are in charge of the Absence Club, one is fucking an adult woman who's married, and then the other is planning to fuck the other one who's in charge, who's already fucking, and she don't know he's fuck. It was just hilarious. It was just hilarious. And then just to see Danielle looking up at Mom, just like, yeah, gonna be doing this. Didn't plan on being in that group next year anyway. Was just gonna be like, hey girls, here's my chastity belt. See y'all later. Which is just the unmitigated gall. I love it. Obsessed. So then Bree goes to John Rose's apartment, and I think this is the only time that John and Bree are in a scene together. I just think it's so interesting that later on, then Bree finds out that her best friend is actually having sex with the guy that her daughter wanted to lose her virginity to. Wild twist of events, huh? But yeah, so she goes to his apartment and she's like, I need you to break up with my daughter and I need you to be absolutely brutal. She's like, that is the only way it will get through my daughter's little clueless head. It's for you to wreck her heart. And I'm like, damn, I've had that done to me before. My husband shook me off like I was a kid on his leg. Like I was a kid on his leg. He was like, get off me. So, damn. Guess me and DL got that in common. You gotta like dump us, huh? So then Maisie Gibbons, the woman who's been sleeping with her husband, she gets arrested for prostitution. And this is like deeper into the season. Like I kind of forgot about Maisie a little bit. So I love how they brought that back around. But it was in the Ladies Who Lunch episode. And so she gets arrested for prostitution, Maisie Gibbons. And Bree's like super worried that her name's gonna come up. She goes to visit Maisie in jail, and she offers her $14,000 just to take Rex's name out of the book. But Maisie refused because she would rather see Bree embarrassed. Honestly, I think for her, 14 grand wouldn't be worth it. Later on, Bree and Rex, they go out to eat at the country club, but then everyone starts staring at them. They realize the secret is out, and Bree just cancels it. Bree threw the whole membership away. She said, y'all can go. She actually said, I can go. So then later on, Andrew gets expelled from school. Bree is like, we're about to send him to a juvenile detention center. And Rex is not with it, but then he sees Andrew getting pretty much violent towards his mom, and he's like, never mind, you can go. So then 2 escorts pick up Andrew. He ends up going to a juvenile detention center. And Andrew spits in her face. We had a I Love New York, or not I Love New York, Flavor Flav pumpkin moment. But I would slap my child for spitting in my face. I would slap anybody for spitting in my face. Spitting in my face? Yeah, I'm slapping you. More than slapping you. But Bree, honestly, she just says, I will always love you, and she didn't move a muscle. Which would piss me off even more, honestly. If I spit in your face, which I have never I've never ever in my life spit in someone's face, and I could never imagine spitting in someone's face. But if I did spit in someone's face and they didn't even flinch or move a muscle, I would actually feel defeated. Now that I think about it, I would feel defeated. So maybe hitting back is not the best response. Anyway, so then Bree basically having a huge crisis because her motherhood is part of her. I don't want to get too much into it, but I will do when I actually like talk about them. And so she ends up going with Rex to go visit Andrew at the detention center. Andrew doesn't want to see her. So then and so Bree is assuming that's because he hates her. And Bree eventually goes in to talk to him. And Rex is like, oh, Andrew wanted to be alone because Andrew thinks he's gay. And Bree is completely shocked. So then Bree and Rex bring Andrew home from detention camp. And Bree has a dinner with the church's pastor, Reverend Sykes, who is throughout the entire show. And is normally like one of Bree's confidants in the series. And he mainly interacts with just Bree, I believe. I think it's a different priest that interacts with the Solis family. But the only families who like actually showed interest in faith were the Solises and the Van De Kamps. And then we got a really fun series episode with Lynette like going to church, like switching churches or whatever. And she's like, Bree, what am I now? And Bree's like, you're a Presbyterian or whatever. And she's like, okay, cool. I'm Presbyterian. Yeah. Which is really adorable. Seeing Lynette being like, let me try this fake thing. Let me go ahead and just give it a try. Give it a bump. See how I like it. Take a walk on the wild side. So then Bree and Rex end up running into George later on. They're like, I feel like they're like at like some farmer's market, some scene like that. If memory serves me correct, I can like visualize these scenes in my head, which is really what I'm doing right now. So, and it's weird because I can actually kind of visualize these scenes in my head by like each character and like flash through them. It's kind of creepy a little bit, but Bree and Rex, they run to George at some farmer's market. Rex is super rude to George when they run into each other, but also George is really creepy when they run into each other. And then George is like, I have a... Oh, no, not yet. They want... Rex wants to take Bree out, and Rex is like, I think that's inappropriate. I don't want you to be going out with her. Because they're working on a marriage at this point. And eventually Rex ends up lying to Bree and tells him that she's dating this girl named Ginger who stocks the shelves. Obviously they're not dating, and they're like the weirdest people. And Bree's like, I want you to come with me to Carlos Solis's going to jail party that he's having. So that way Rex can see that you're in a relationship and that you're happy. So that way me and you can be friends and everything. I think I missed a scene. This could be in the second season. But there is one scene between Bree and George where they are mini golfing and she's like making fun of him or whatever, but she like whispered in his ear and he's like about to like putt and she's like, go. He's like, I can't. And she's like, you're not. There are kids behind you. Get rid of it. It was really funny. So, I'm trying to think where it was. Okay. So, then when Rex sees George at the party, he pushes George into the swimming pool. But then George kind of like pulls Bree into the swimming pool by accident. It's kind of funny. Rex does not realize it though, but throughout this entire time after he has his heart attack, this is the part I did miss a little bit. After he had his heart attack, he got put on some type of medication, and the doctor's like, as long as you continue to take this medication, it's going to bump up some in your body, and then you'll be on the road to recovery and you'll be fine. But Rex is the pharmacist. He's their pharmacist, and he is inadvertently switching out George's medication, or George is the pharmacist, and he's switching out Rex's medication. And Rex is not aware of this. No one's aware of this at this point. And so his health is going really, really bad. And Bree is actually hanging out with George in private, like in secret type of a thing. And Edie basically tells her that like you're cheating. If you're hiding, you're cheating. If it's pretty much cheating, girl. And so then Bree breaks it all off with George, including the secret meetings. So then George accidentally, quote unquote, put himself there, bumped into George in a supermarket, and he basically tells her like, hey, you know, Rex really shouldn't be telling people that, like, what you guys do in private. Now, the only reason George even knew about what they did in private, the S&M shit, is because he snuck into their house in order to switch the medication after he switched pharmacies, because Rex was getting a little bit suspicious about George. But Rex ain't want nothing to do with George. Nothing to do with him. So, when George broke into their house, he ended up taking a picture of like her clothes, like Bree's lingerie. Like, what does that do for you? I need the human. Am I weird? I need the, like, I don't understand sometimes. Like, people have these like different like people, like dolls, stuff. Like, what does that do for you? Like, I need the human. I need a heartbeat or my vibrator. Like, either one, no in between. So like, I don't know, what does a picture do for you? Anyway, boy, if you saw that picture of Bree in that hotel when she went to go see Rex, though, he would have had a heart attack. George would have. I almost had a heart attack. Oof. Marcia Cross, call me. Red ass normally not my style, but I can make an exception. I can make a big exception. No, I'm evil Longoria all the way. Anyway, so he runs into her, tells her about, like, Rex. He's like, I heard that Rex has been bragging about it at the hospital, which is where Rex works, by the way, as well. And Bree, she goes to Rex and they have a huge argument, and then Rex ends up having another heart attack while they're arguing. And this is where you kind of see like Bree like really start to like break down, because she's like, go downstairs and like get ready or whatever. And she actually ends up like cleaning the whole house, like the whole room, making the bed and everything, like kind of like panic, like very disassociated from what's going on. And you can tell that like that's her fallback. Like when things are tough, she cleans or she cooks, or like that's how she gets through it. So Rex eventually gets to the hospital with Bree. Bree's talking to him, and she's just talking about how she needs to do spring cleaning and everything, and how he's going to come through his operation just fine, because she's like, the best is yet to come. And then this is where the doctor comes in to talk to Rex after Bree leaves. It's like the last scene you see Rex alive. And the doctor's like, yeah, so who feeds you and everything? And he's like, Bree. And he's like, yeah, you've been being poisoned like with potassium or something that I guess like would make his heart condition worse. Whatever Rex is putting in his pills. And so Rex does end up dying thinking that Bree had killed him. Because then he slips away like a few minutes after that scene with the doctor. And as he slips away, he's writing a note to Bree. And he's like, I know what you did and I forgive you for it. So then the second season basically goes into this huge like storyline with George. And the craziness of him. And you see that character. The first season also ends with giving us a interlude into the next season of mystery that the plot line is surrounded around. So that is Bree Van De Kamp and the history of her first season. And like I said, I don't even know how long this video was, but I knew it was going to be a long one. So hope you're getting back for the next video. And the next housewife I'll be covering is Lynette Scavo. And I'm hoping I hope I'll do it after I get off work tomorrow. So